Okay, let's go ahead and get started copying a theme. Since we've used the Bartik theme as a base for our sub-theme examples, let's go ahead and use it again as the base for our copying example. So the first step is to go to the themes directory, and we're going to copy the Bartik theme. We're then going to paste it inside of our sites all themes directory. Now if we went to our appearance page in our Drupal site, we'd see that there's only a single Bartik theme listed. Let's go ahead and go there. Jump to my browser and refresh the appearance page. And you see we have Bartik 7.0 here. And if we scroll down, we don't see it in our other themes there or in our disabled themes. So this is demonstrating that one of them is overriding the other. And if we checked the source for this screenshot right here, we'd see that it's coming from our sites all themes directory. So this means that we can go ahead and modify the Bartik theme without changing the name if we really wanted to, but in general that's going to be a bad practice because it makes it ambiguous. It's hard for other people to figure out exactly which theme they're working with at any given time. So let's go ahead and begin the process of changing our name. And let's go ahead and change it from Bartik to bat copy or build a theme copy. Okay, our first step is to change the folder name for our theme. So go ahead and jump back to the base folder for your Drupal site. And in your sites all themes directory, let's go ahead and change the Bartik folder name to BATCOPY, bat copy. Go ahead and expand that. And we also need to change the name of the .info file. So we're going to change bartik.info to batcopy.info. All right. Now we've changed the core name of our theme. So at this point, if we jump back to the appearance page, I'm going to go back to the browser and I'm going to refresh it. We scroll down, you see that we have a Bartik 7 here under our disabled themes, and then we also have the Bartik theme under our enabled themes. So this makes it difficult to figure out which Bartik theme we have enabled, which we don't. So let's go ahead and change the name in our info file as well. So I'm going to jump back to our theme folder, and I'm going to open up the batcopy.info file. Let's go ahead and change this name to batcopy. So right here, we're just changing the name. Okay, make sure that's saved. And now if we jump back to our browser and refresh, we'll see if we scroll down to our disabled themes that we have batcopy 7.0 right here. Now at this point, if we enable our theme, we're going to have a whole lot of functions inside of our template.php file that use the Bartik theme structure name instead of our new bat copy name. So those functions that might be looked for throughout our theme aren't going to be found. So there's probably going to be a few errors if we enable it, but let's go ahead and enable it just to see what it looks like at this point. Okay. It says here now that bat copy is the default theme, so let's go ahead and go to the home page where this theme is actually going to be used. Now if we refresh the page, we see there's a couple of notices here of an undefined variable hide site name on different lines of the page.tpl.php file. So we have a couple small errors. This isn't a big deal, easy to fix. But the real problem is that we have all of these pre-processing functions or process functions inside of our template.php file that aren't being registered because they're not using the correct structure for our new theme name. So if we jump back to our directory where we have our theme and we open up the template.php file, we'll see that we have a number of places where Bartik is being used as a prefix for a function. So Bartik preprocess HTML, and if we scroll down, Bartik process HTML. So we need to go through this entire page and change everywhere where it says Bartik underscore into BAT copy underscore. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to open up a replace dialog where we can find and replace throughout this page. Now this will look different depending on what editor you're using. And we're going to replace it with BAT copy underscore. Now adding this underscore just helps narrow down the range of things that will be changed. Sometimes we have a place where the original theme name is being used, but we want to replace it with something slightly different. So we want to just make sure that we're targeting the right options here. And so that underscore helps it narrow it down. So let's go ahead and do a find next and replace. I'm just going through and you see down here the highlighting happening, and then it's being replaced by our new theme name. I'm just going through and checking with each one to make sure that it's actually at the beginning of a function name, and now it's gone back up to the top, and I'm replacing that. So it says 9 out of 9 occurrences were replaced, and now if we do a find next, we should see that it's not used anymore. Part of my purpose in demonstrating this changing of the theme name individually throughout this template.php file is that it's typically not a good idea to find and replace across the entire theme file structure, because sometimes the theme name is being used in a unique way, and you need to use some discretion to figure out how you want to replace that theme name. So we're going step by step, piece by piece, instead of just doing it across the board, so we know for sure that we're not doing anything that's messing things up, because sometimes that can be a little hard to track down later on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this dialog. At this point, we've taken care of a huge portion of the changes that need to be made to the theme name, but let's make sure that we're getting any stragglers that are occurring throughout the theme structure. I'm going to make sure that my template.php file is saved. And then what I'm going to do in my editor is right-click on the folder name, and we're going to do a find. And this will search throughout the file structure and as well as within the files for a particular string of text. So what I'm going to look for is Bartik. No underscore, nothing. And then I also want to make sure that we're searching in a case-insensitive way. I'm going to go ahead and unclick the match case here, and we're going to do find all. Now this will loop through the entire directory and find any places where Bartik is being used. Now your editor may have a similar search tool, or you can use something like a command line tool called grep in order to search through a directory. Let's go ahead and take a look at the matches line by line and see what these are. So first we have one in our batcopy.info file, and it's a commented out item in there. And this is the line that we'd see at the very top of a page. This is from before, when the packaging script for Drupal.org was on CVS, and it would add this tag at the very top. So this is something we could safely remove altogether. The second line here is in our template.php file. It's Drupal add CSS, and it's getting the path to the Bartik theme. So this is an important thing to change, because we want to make sure as we're locking down our theme that we're just grabbing files from our theme. So we'll want to change this item here from Bartik to batcopy. And of course we'll have this particular file inside of our directory because we have a complete copy. Next, in our color.inc file, which is part of what's included when a theme allows the end user to change the base colors for the theme, we have an example where theme get setting is being used to grab the logo setting for the Bartik theme. And we want to make sure that this theme setting is getting the logo from our theme instead. So we'll change this Bartik again to batcopy. We have several in that color folder, and this is in the preview.html file. We'll want to change this logo file to reference the one that's inside of our theme directory. And then we have several template files. So we have comment wrapper, comment, maintenance page, node, page. If we scroll down, we'll see that there's a few other page ones. So these all are comments, so they're not necessarily important to change for the functionality of our theme, but good to change over time so that it's easier to read the comments and not be confused. So we'll just change Bartik, and notice that the first letter is capitalized, so we'll want to use the name that's used in our info file inside of this instead of the base name, which is batcopy. Instead, we'd use the capitalized BAT and then capitalized COPY. So you see that after we change the name of our folder, the name of our info file, and then changed all of the function references inside of our template.php file, there really wasn't a whole lot else to change, only a couple that were absolutely critical that showed up when we did a search throughout our theme directory. Now, just like in our previous examples, it's important when we make these changes to the template.php directory that we rebuild the theme registry, because we're changing the name of the pre-processing functions, the theme override functions, and the process functions. So jump back to your browser and run a flush all caches, either through the performance page or if you had the admin menu module installed by flushing all the caches there. And you'll see that those two errors that we were seeing up at the top here have disappeared. And this is probably because we now have our pre-processing functions set up correctly, and that error that was showing up for the undefined variable is probably going away because now that variable is being defined in a pre-processing function.